everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I'm excited to do. It is going to be my November book reviews, all the books that I read in November and my thoughts about them. I'm just going to be popping on camera as I finish reading books and give my reviews. So who knows where this video is going to take us as I finish books throughout the month, but I'm excited to bring you all the books I read in November, my thoughts on them. If you're new here, I hope that you will subscribe. I do beauty content, book content, lifestyle content, and let's go ahead and get into these reviews. So to start us off, I just got my nails done. How fun are these? Burgundy matte nails. A little bit of jewels going on here. Yes. Okay. So I'm really feeling on my nails, but unfortunately not feeling on the first book that I read in November. This is The Accidental Pinup by Danielle Jackson. Really looking forward to reading this. It follows Cassie, who is a photographer, and she gets into doing some modeling, and the company that she's working for is more of a lingerie company, but really all about inclusivity with its models. Cassie herself is a plus-sized Black woman, and it just seems to really speak of, you know, probably like women empowerment and, again, just inclusivity. So I was really looking forward to reading it, but kind of from the beginning, I could not get interested in it. The style of writing is definitely more telling each step that the character is doing versus showing the readers and having us be involved in it. It's just like, they did this, now they're doing this, then they do that, and then that happens. And that's just a little bit harder for me to read. I honestly also thought when I first started reading it that this was actually in a series, because there kept being so much backstory, especially on Cassie's friend, and one of her friends who was pregnant. They have this whole kind of, it felt like they were catching us up from a past novel. And then when I realized that that wasn't the case, I was very confused as to why there was so much filler about her friendships and their personal lives. And I felt like it was also setting the book up for a novel, because it kept mentioning another one of the characters and so much in depth about her. I was like, okay, it's got to be also setting us up for the next book. And then to realize this was a standalone, I was like, all right. We do have a love interest in here, of course, a romantic angle with Reed, who is a more rival photographer. And I found parts interesting because Reed kind of comes across as the very privileged white male, and Cassie is trying to teach him and explain to him and just get him to see a different perspective. And I could appreciate those parts, but he also kind of never seemed to get it. So it was just kind of hard to find him likable and the relationship likable. Cassie also has a whole thing with her parents who are not supportive of her. That was kind of like in and out throughout the story. It just wasn't keeping my attention. I felt like I couldn't get invested. About halfway through, I just started speed reading and kind of trying to get through the story. I was wondering where it was going, what the ending was going to be like. There's also this whole Reed is kind of, I don't know if I want to say like manipulating Cassie, but he's kind of like, he's asked to do something with their jobs that he knows will make Cassie upset, but does it anyways. And even that part didn't make sense to me. Like the role that he was asked to do, I was like, why? I just unfortunately could not get invested in the story. I ended up just giving it a 2-star review. Again, towards the end, I was kind of skipping along. So I had really high hopes for it. And I was really excited to read it, but that one ended up being a letdown for me. But not
Hello everyone, coming to you mid-walk. I was going to try to do this book review while I was actually walking, but it's kind of windy and I was already kind of out of breath, so I thought, let's just take a seat here on these nice rocks. This is my view when I walk in Las Vegas. If I have my dog with me, she's usually trying to climb up the hill, but I thought I would just stop here and do my next book review for November. I just finished reading Room and Board, and this was by Miriam Parker. There was a lot that really interested me about saying yes to this review request, because it is set in Sonoma, which I'm just like kind of obsessed with. I went to Napa Valley for my birthday, so I saw Sonoma and all the wines and the cheeses, and I was like, okay, I gotta read this. But we followed Jillian, who was a publicist and was used to kind of her high-paying, high publicity, jet-setting lifestyle with the celebrities that she was working with. But she ends up having a pretty public issue with her work and leaves that behind. So now she doesn't know what she's going to do for work, but she actually gets asked by her old boarding school to come and be a dorm mom. So now instead of working with her celebrities, she is working with teenagers and helping them get through the boarding school process. And of course, while she's there, there's also a romantic love angle. It's actually her old flame from high school, so we have a little bit of that resurgence coming back. And then there ends up being a pretty big scandal at the school as well that she gets involved with because of her PR background. And you also kind of see her go through trying to make new friends, like starting over in a new city, making friends in your 30s, which I could definitely relate to. And overall, I really enjoyed this book because the pacing was just very, I just want to say, like, it wasn't like super fast paced, but it wasn't slow. It was just kind of steady all throughout, and you're just following along Jillian's life. I find a lot of books like that really interesting. Of course, we have a couple of the scandals in there. We have teenagers trying to learn what they should or shouldn't be posting on social media, so of course that's always interesting. I loved the setting and all the talks of the wine and what you can do in Sonoma, but also just the setting of the boarding school. I don't know much about boarding school, so I found that to be interesting to learn about, and her being a dorm mom and trying to convince the girls, you know, stay away from the alcohol. You're not going to feel good the next day. Just different things like that. A lot of it was really relatable, and I just enjoyed it the whole way through. There were a few moments that I thought, like, okay, maybe that's a little bit predictable. Like, I could have thought that was going to happen, but I still ended up giving it a 4-star review. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll read it.
Well, hey everyone, coming to you from the Burbank airport. I am heading back to Las Vegas. I had a little trip with Amazon this weekend, so I've been out in LA, but I'm just waiting for my flight to get here, and I thought I would review the latest book that I just finished reading, and this is called Sophie Goes Lonely Heart Club. This is by Roselle, and it follows Sophie. She is a matchmaker that lives in Toronto. I like that there's a little bit of like magical realism in here with her abilities as a matchmaker and the red threads that she sees between people. But she is struggling to build her business as a matchmaker until she meets who she calls the Old Ducks, and it is 7 friends who are quite a bit older, and 7 men, and she decides that she's going to try to use her matchmaking skills on them to help kind of build her business. And there's a lot that goes on in here, especially with her family dynamics. She is Asian American and feels a deep sense of, you know, just helping her family out. And also, I mean, her parents were really quite horrible. There's a lot of scenes in the book that I was like, just the manipulation that they would do to her, and it was really sad to see her just continually wanting to make her parents proud and them just always finding ways to knock her down. So the friendships that she ends up forming with these 7 old ducks, I thought was really so beautiful. She also has her own little romantic angle, even though she isn't sure if that's something that she should do because of her role as a matchmaker, you know, kind of push her own love life aside to help other people find love. So that was an interesting angle, and there's also some scenes in here that will just make you cry. I remember I was eating lunch one day and I was just crying while reading this book. I ended up really enjoying it. I think I'm going to give it probably like 4 or 4.5 stars when I do my review on this one, because I really had so much fun reading it. The pacing was really well all the way throughout, and I feel like there was a lot of learning lessons that Sophie goes through, even with friendships, and how to be a good friend, obviously with family, with love, and then just about trusting yourself and going after what it is that you want to go after. And I really appreciated seeing that from Sophie Go. So highly recommend Sophie Go's Lonely Heart Club. I hope that you'll check it out. And now I gotta get me back to Las Vegas.
Good morning. It is me with my iced chai, ready to give you another book review. Before we hop into the book review, let me just share what I'm drinking really quick because this is my favorite. I get it from Starbucks, iced chai latte, the grande size. I do mine with coconut milk. I add 2 pumps of the sugar cookie syrup, which is amazing, and then add on the vanilla sweet cream cold foam. So let's all just do a cheers with whatever you're drinking right now and enjoy. We have a new book review today. I just finished reading Love on the Brain, and this was by Hazelwood. I liked this story so much because we follow Allie, who is a scientist. She's working on a project with NASA. Really kind of focuses on women in STEM, and I have seen from a little bit online of how hard that can be in such a male-dominated industry, and that all those parts were really quite fascinating to read about. You know, some of it was a little bit over my head. A little bit over my head, but I still really enjoyed it, and it was fun to follow just a very, you know, smart, intelligent female as she really tries to make waves in her industry. And of course, we have to have a little bit of a love angle in there. So we have Levi, who she has to work with on this latest project that she's doing with NASA on these helmets that they are building for astronauts. And they have a little bit of a past because they went to college together, and Levi seemed to never like B. I can't even remember if I said our main character's name, B. Levi seemed to never like her. Now that they're working together, it seems like he's trying to sabotage her, not inviting her to meetings. Her emails aren't showing up. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, you know, why are you trying to sabotage me like this? And it kind of goes from there, a little bit of enemies to lovers, if you will. I will say that there are some pretty, it's not often that it happens in the book. There's maybe like 3 of them, but there's some 3 pretty like illicit sex scenes in there. So if that's not your thing, I wanted to mention that, because there was a few that maybe really raised my eyebrows. Oh, okay, scientists, get down with your bad self. There's also some really interesting angles with cancel culture and social media, because B actually runs an anonymous Twitter account in a good way, but then again, someone seems to be sabotaging her and setting her up for failure, and including public failure. So that was all pretty fascinating to read about. But overall, there was some really interesting kind of twists and turns at the end. I was a little like, whoa, well, how did we get here? We have a few very touch and go moments there, but I really enjoyed this one. Again, I'm going to give this one like a 4, maybe even a 4.5 star review. The end got just slightly far-fetched for me. You know, we got the whole like, you gotta kick a gun out of someone's hand. I was like, how did we get here? But I really did enjoy that. I liked the romance angle to it. I thought that was really well played, and it was just sort of a different read for me. I liked learning about a subject matter that I don't really know a lot about, and a career, especially for women that are wanting to be highly successful but seem to get passed over for their male counterparts over and over again. I really liked reading about that, and I found it all pretty fascinating. Now, back to my chai. Well, hello everyone. Good morning. I'm coming to you from a Vegas hotel room. So it is the week of Thanksgiving. My mom is visiting me, and I have some comp rooms at the M Casino and Resort, which is off the strip. So I set my mom up here for a few nights, and she said, why don't you take one of my nights and I'll stay here with Aries and you can just have a night to yourself. So that is what I did. Last night I had a little Epsom salt bath here and just read and did some work. And now it is time for another book review, because I finished another book, and this one was so fantastic. It's a 5-star review book, and I really, really want you to read it. It is called The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie, and it is by Rachel Linden. So in this book, we follow Lolly, and she is feeling frustrated with herself because she finds like her diary, her journal from when she was a teenager, and it had a list of what you want to accomplish by the time you're 30. And she is now into her 30s, and she hasn't accomplished any of those things. And so she's feeling very frustrated with herself and wanting to make a change. And I liked this book a lot because there's a little bit of magical realism, which I absolutely love in books. And her aunt gives her these lemon drops, and the lemon drops allow her to go forward in time to see what her life would look like if she had made different decisions. So with her 3 regrets in life, with her job, her mother passed away at a young age, and then losing the love of her life. So she gets to be transported to see what it would look like if she had followed her career dreams. She gets to see what it would look like if her mother was still alive. She gets to see what it would look like if she ended up with her first love and the guy she still thinks about all of the time. And that to me was just all so fascinating, because there's also this she could choose to stay in one of those lives. But what would she be giving up? With her family, she's really close with her father. She basically became the mother to her younger sister after their mom passed away. Sorry, my phone was falling down. So she's trying to decide if she goes to one of these other lives, you know, what will life look like for her dad and her sister and the family diner that they have, and continuing on with her mom's legacy. I enjoyed this book so much, and I don't want to give away any spoilers because I was surprised. I really wasn't sure where things were going to end up, but the writing was just so fluid. It was fast paced. I feel like I really got to know Lolly and I was really cheering her on. But that hint of just being able to get a look of what would your life look like if you made decisions differently, it was so fascinating to me. I enjoyed literally every second of the story. Like I said, 5-star review. I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm so excited to film this book review because I want to tell you all about the magic of Lemon Drop Pie. Highly, highly recommend this one. Good morning. We are in Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of craziness. I just went to the post office and dropped off a whole bunch of orders. Stopped and got my Starbucks, my iced chai latte, of course. Let's take a drink together. Cheers. But I have a new book that I just finished. This might be my last one for November. Try to sneak in one more for this video. But I just finished reading CopperPlea, and this is by Hilary Grossman. This is actually, I believe it's the second book in this particular series. First book in this series is Cop and Attitude, which I have also read. So there we meet Waverly and Pete, and they actually knew each other from back in the day. They were classmates, and they meet again as adults, and Pete is now a police officer, and he pulls over Waverly one night. And that is how they kind of rekindle this. But what's funny about their relationship is Waverly actually kind of bullied him a little bit back in the day when they were in like middle school. And now, you know, Pete is this attractive man and they end up forming a relationship. So we get that with the first book. And then in the second book, they're now married. They have a baby on the way. But Pete, when he is chasing down a robber, he falls and hits his head and goes into a coma, and he cannot remember Waverly. So Pete lost his first wife to cancer, and when he wakes up from his coma, he's just remembering that his wife had passed away. So he's lost like 3 or 4 years of his memory. Can't remember his new wife, can't remember, you know, his first daughter already, you know, growing up a little bit more, and can't remember that his new wife is also pregnant with their baby. So that is the main storyline, and we're wondering, is Pete going to get his memories back, or are they going to be able to make their marriage work? Are they not going to be able to make their marriage work? We have a lot with Pete's family, who his mom especially just is not very nice to Waverly, wasn't very nice to his first girlfriend, very much a like too overbearing, too supportive of a mother, if you will. So we have that kind of dynamic happening throughout the story. Hilary Grossman, she's actually someone who I would consider a friend. I've known her for many, many years. I used to run book marketing back in the day. That was one of my first businesses that I ever launched, was for book marketing for indie authors. And that is where I met Hilary, and she can put out books. Like, I am so impressed with her. She puts out multiple books a year. Sometimes a little bit of the writing is a little bit too I would say like telling versus showing, like telling the readers exactly what's going on instead of like building the scene and creating the scene for us and really showing us through the characters. So sometimes it can read a little bit on the choppier side to me, and sometimes the conversations that people have doesn't sound the most realistic. I still really enjoyed the story and thinking about what could happen if Pete can't get his memories back, and you know, where their story could continue next. I thought the wrap up with the mom situation was also just a little bit too good, like too perfect of an ending, if you will. I kind of wish that would have been a little bit different, but still enjoyed the story. I think I would give it 3.5 or a 4-star review. Well, hello. This is actually where we are going to end off November book reviews, because I was not able to get that last book read. I'm actually still reading it. Today's December 2nd. That will be in my December video. I'm just getting ready. I'm about to head out for lunch at Nacho Daddy, one of my favorite places. So I'm heading out with some friends in a few minutes, but I was working on editing this video and I was like, oh, I should probably end it since we didn't get that last book review. But I hope you enjoyed this style of video, coming around with me to a few different places and of course hearing about the different books that I read throughout the month. If you like this style of video, please definitely do let me know, or if you have any other ideas, or especially like any other book videos that you want to see, please always just leave those in the comments. I will have all of these books linked down below if there is any that you are interested in checking out. But other than that, that is going to do it for my November book reviews. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope you also consider subscribing before you go. See you in my next video.